Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Jim Warren with TechZappa. Glad to have you guys here today. We have got a great show today. We're going to talk about PAVEXpress, and if you don't know anything about it right now, you will by the end of the program. I want to introduce our speaker today, or our guest. It's Trenton Clark with the Virginia Asphalt Association. He's the president of the association. Trenton and I, we've known each other a while, haven't we, buddy?
Oh, every bit of about 12, 13 years now, Jim.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's been quite the journey.
Yes. Our roles have evolved over that time.
They certainly have. You've come up and I've gone down.
I'd like to think you saw the greener side of the pasture.
Well, it's a great job working in association work. It really is a great job. It's so hard to explain to people what we do on a day-to-day basis, but we're essentially out there just trying to make asphalt better, right? I mean, that's really what our job is, and
Promoting quality.
promoting quality. Yep, long-lasting, durable asphalt pavements is what we're about. So, you know, we only have a short time today, Trenton, and I want to go ahead and let's jump into it. But
Let's do it.
you know, we wanted to talk about this whole pavement design. We've been going through some stuff here in Texas, and we're teaching an engineering class now online. The next one is in November. If you want to sign up, go to texasasphalt.org. And part of that class, we talk about design. And so it's really important we understand the basics about design, the methodology that we used actually to design. Well, obviously, Texas has got their own system, but there are other systems out there, and there have been for a lot of years. And so we wanted to give this as an opportunity. We have a lot of engineers that watch this program, consultants that watch this program, and they've got different design criteria that they might use. And I believe PAVEXpress might be one of those things that might be able to be a help. What do you think?
Oh, I think it definitely could. First, thanks for having me on, Jim. My background, from many of you all, I'm more on the pavement side than I am on the asphalt material side. I started right out of college working for a pavement consulting firm. Spent 12 years with VDOT, doing everything from pavement management to the state pavement engineer, over to field and regional field positions, working on pavements. And then since I've come to the association, where I got to know Jim when he was in Florida, I've still been on the pavement side, and this PAVEXpress is something that I've been a part of really for about the last 9 years, when we realized we needed a tool that was easy to use, but just as importantly, free.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, coming back from my engineering side and pavements, we're notoriously cheap individuals. A bridge engineer will spend tens of thousands of dollars on a piece of software, but we can get it for free, we want it free. And that sort of was the genesis of starting PAVEXpress. We know, Texas, from my days working with VDOT and others, I knew TxDOT had their own design procedure for both concrete and asphalt. It didn't always follow the AASHTO software, because Texas had the research program, it had the tools to actually develop stuff that worked in Texas. But I did a lot of work in Texas, and they also were looking at different AASHTO-ware products. But when I was with the AASHTO Darwin Task Force back in the mid to late 2000s, the decision was made that product was going to be sunset.
Mm-hmm.
So that, think back far enough, it came on a 3.5-inch hard floppy disk that went into our computers. I know for some of you younger ones, you won't know, so go Google it. You might see pictures. But we just stuck a little 3.5-inch into our drives,
Right.
and we were able to do pavement design. Easy Windows software, but we were sunsetting it, which basically meant AASHTO wasn't going to support it anymore. Right. It was going to go out into the freeware universe. But AASHTO, if you remember, AASHTO is made up of state DOTs. So they needed to have a tool that supported the states, not a locality,
Right.
not a private developer.
Right.
So we saw there was a huge hole that we still needed to fill. And that's really where the genesis of PAVEXpress started, is that we saw this hole that was being formed because locals still needed to do designs. Consultants still need to do designs for localities and private customers. You had private entities, and then there was also the engineering side, the students. So we saw this as a software tool that could also be used in the academic, free to them, but to teach them basics of pavement design. So that's what got all this started in Chicago in about 2013. And since then, we've made iteration after iteration to try to keep up with what our users are asking for.
Yeah, there's no moss growing on this software, that's for sure. You guys are seeming like every year you're tweaking, you're doing something to it, trying to adjust it, make it better, make it more user-friendly, add more things to it. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. And you've done other things too, is even develop. That's one thing I want to talk today, is you've even developed instructional materials on how to use it.
Yeah, even as simple and straightforward as PAVEXpress was set up. If you think about it, it's just a giant flow chart. Do this, then this, then this, and it walks you all the way through a design process. And when you're done, you get a design based on your inputs. But what couldn't be lost is the fact that, unlike myself and some others that have always been in the pavement engineering field, that's very niche. So you see architects, geotechnical engineers, all sorts of other people trying to use it. And just like anything, we have our own nomenclature. We have our own what to expect. So we know, besides the in-depth help that's built into PAVEXpress, we needed that instructional guide. Right. If I'm going to do a basic new design, how do I do it? If
what's
I'm going
step
to do
one, what's step two, what's step three? Yep.
What does everything mean? And that was the PAVEinstruct app that's also available, free to use. And the good thing is, if you go through the modules, you can get continuing education credits.
Well, there you go.
So that helps engineers like myself that need those hours when we renew our license. So right now, as we've moved PAVEXpress forward and built in new modules over the last 6 to 7 years, when we built PAVEinstruct, that was about 2 iterations ago. So right now, with the Asphalt Pavement Alliance, they're going through the process of updating those screens to make sure that what the current user sees and what somebody that's going to do PAVEinstruct sees, they actually match up. Technically, they're still the same behind the scenes.
Okay.
But as you can imagine, Jim, you see, well, this isn't on my screen. I don't know. So it's getting that. Plus, we've added more things. We put per road in it. Before it was a standalone. Now it's a module. We've changed the way the structural analysis tool works in it. We've got some life cycle stuff in it. So there's a lot of those pieces that were in different forms or fashion in PAVEinstruct that are fully involved in PAVEXpress now that we needed to, again, how do I do this? Walk me through it.
Hey, I didn't know you could actually get CEUs for it. That's awesome, and I'll be glad to know when that's updated. I know a lot of our viewers are looking for that. We got a lot of engineers online, so you can take it now and get it, and then you can update it later and review it. But just to let you know, if you go through it, things may not sync up exactly, but the content's still going to be there. So.
And I mean, that was something, again, that the users asked for, that we were able to develop. And that's one thing, that need to be clear. When you sign up for PAVEXpress, you're not sending anybody a credit card payment. It's a free online. So both of these allow, not only from the design side, but also from the learning module side, to get it and to get those instructional credits that are very important.
Awesome. So walk me through it. Walk me through this. Let's see how this thing. Let's see all this works. You're going to share your screen, I think, there, and we'll be up and running.
Let me share what I've got.
While he's doing that, I'll let you know that Trenton is not only a good guy. Trenton also has his own cows. So, this is Texas. Someday we need to talk about cows. I need to get someone in here that can also talk about cows, and We can have a cow fest someday and talk about pavement design and cows and all that sort of
You
stuff.
mentioned that. So Wagyu Akaushi breed's pretty big. It's big in Texas. I know there's a Hart Brand Ranch, which is down there near Flatona outside. I guess that's the San Antonio area.
Okay.
And we've actually purchased a bull out of that Hart Brand Ranch back in March, shipped him to Virginia. So he went from a Texan to a Virginian. Yeah. So, yeah, the cattle is an outlet.
He's got new girlfriends now, huh?
He's got 15 pretty young ladies with him right now. And we're waiting to see how they look in their calves this coming spring.
Good deal. Good deal. So this looks like the user interface to me. This, when I pull it up, I go to PAVEXpress.com. That should be easy for everybody to remember. PAVEXpress.com. Pull it up and walk me through it a little bit.
All right. So you see your splash screen.
Yep.
And as you go across, you get the launch, which starts everything, getting started, frequently asked questions. Again, it's got a lot of that look and feel to normal apps.
Okay.
You can look down below. There's that Pave Instruct.
Okay. Oh, it's right on the same page. Okay.
So it's on the same page. And if I click it, what you get is it takes you to the page and you can start going in and getting more of your modules. So it's something with people to play with later.
Okay.
But it's readily available. You get the Pave instruction guide. You also get the design. Here on the screen, you can see Dr. Dave Tim, who's at the University of Auburn.
Yep. Great guy.
He's the one.
Great guy.
Great guy.
Yep.
That part of his work was developing Porous.
Okay.
Perpetual pavement design.
Good.
So if we go back to this page, if I want to start, all I got to do is launch. I need to log in, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Since I've got an account,
okay,
I have login credentials already. If you're brand new to it, you just create an account. It's going to ask you for some basic information, Jim.
Okay.
But that's partially so there's a communication now between you as a user and the developer.
Oh, okay.
Also, when we come out with enhancements, we push it out through email. So you get an email, hey, check out this. If we put a new report out, check this out.
So I know when something's been updated, which is nice.
You know when something's
been updated. If I don't use it every day, I get an email, say, hey, come check it out. Now I've got something else to look at. Awesome.
Yep. So if I go ahead and just log on in, it's going to ask me for my information.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I haven't forgot my password. And now I have a project list of everything I've done. You talked about the course you all are putting on there in Texas. Next Tuesday, I'm doing a Basics of Pavement Design class with the University of Virginia through their LTAP.
Awesome.
And we're using PAVEXpress in that.
Okay.
But you can see I can do any of a number of things. I can create a brand new project. So if I got a new project in Fredericksburg, Texas.
Okay.
I can give it a name. Maybe it's Main Street.
I was there yesterday with my wife in Fredericksburg. Yep.
Lovely area. I tell her what state.
Yeah.
What helps with that is I can then, if there's stuff that TexAPA has or Virginia Asphalt Association, something other, it helps with just the linking for the user.
Okay.
Who the owner is, types of description. But I put in all my information to be able to do a project.
So I'm a consultant. I'm working on, project for, one company, not another company. I can tie all that in here together and I can keep all my projects together. Gotcha.
So I can go ahead and just say Texas, who's the owner, Department of Public Works.
Okay.
Rebuild of Main Street.
Okay.
And again, that's for just information purposes only.
Sure.
But once I save it, now here's what the users would like to see is what can I do?
Oh, okay.
I can do my basic design.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, this is using 93 and 98 AASHTO design.
Gotcha.
So if you're familiar with the previous pavement design guide with AASHTO, it's about yay thick, the main manual. Takes you through a new construction. the 98 supplement, which was for concrete's about that thick. They
Mm-hmm.
updated. I can also do a life cycle cost analysis. So if Federal Highway developed a program called Real Cost, it's
Right.
very data intensive, but if you have the data and you have the time, you can run through scenarios. It looks at work zones, durations. You put in that information. What's the vehicle operating cost, user cost?
Okay.
But it's another way of doing an in-depth life cycle. Most agencies are really worried about what their costs are. So there's a simple agency cost life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You can see one of the new enhancements recently was the inclusion of per road or perpetual pavement design. I've known watching at least the highways here in Virginia, if I get up above about 12 or so inches on our highest volume routes, we don't see that bottom up failure.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a top down or a mid-level up type of phenomenon, maybe debonded, maybe we ended up with some stripping, or it's just top down cracking. But well, per road, I can say how thick is thick enough. So I'm not putting 16 inches when really all I need is 13, because that 3 additional inches is a lot of the taxpayer's dollar or whoever's funding it that could be used elsewhere on other projects.
So that's
So
that's a big thing, because I wanted to just kind of weigh in there, because if we can control where the distress is in the pavement, it's a lot easier to fix it at the top than it is at the bottom. And I think sometimes we go for cheap. We go for real thick layers of flex base or granular material, thin layers of asphalt, and because it's inexpensive to start with, but maybe more expensive in the long run. So I think these perpetual pavement or these long life pavement design concepts are really good for people to take a look at.
Well, and the point you just made is spot on. What costs more to fix?
Mm-hmm.
Think of your house. Do you want your foundation to crumble, or do you want to replace some shingles?
Yeah.
Well, we'd all want to rather replace shingles on the roof than the foundation that our house sits on.
Yep.
But to do it, you have to have the right materials and the right thicknesses. So it's figuring out that thickness to control the failure. And if you're designing for a bottom-up failure, at some point, it won't be you or I, Jim, because we'll be, they'll have daisies planted on us, but somebody coming behind us will have to fix it. And it'll cost whoever's maintaining that time a lot of money.
Right.
But if we just put enough thickness and use the right materials, because that's just as crucial, and we control so it only fails from the top, where you're in a mill and fill type of situation and pretty much perpetuity.
Overnight. Yep.
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 Fast, smooth, cost efficient.
Yeah, I like it.
Then, as the owner and as the user, over time, it's a lot cheaper.
Sure.
Yes, that additional thickness may cost you a little bit up front. And that's what per road. How thick do you need to be? More so, how thick don't you need to be? And I've seen plenty of designs around the country where you're looking at 16, 17, 18 inches and it'll never fail.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at your own roads, and it probably varies around Texas, but what I've seen here in Virginia, 8 inches to about 12 to 13 is that sweet spot, depending on the type of traffic in the roads. If I got 8 inches, it fails from top down. My highest volume interstates, it's still 12 to 13 inches. If you want an inch of insurance, so be it, but there's no need to be 18, because you don't develop the strains at the bottom.
That's that limiting strain theory that's being discussed now, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's keep going here. I like it so far.
In the last tool, it was in original versions, and then as we were morphing it,
Mm-hmm.
that last one, that structure, basically that's a way of again doing a mechanistic analysis. I know my road right now is 6 inches of asphalt on 12 inches of a graded aggregate base. How many repetitions at the 50th percentile before it fails, either in fatigue cracking or in rutting?
Gotcha.
So it's a way to either look at special tire configurations.
Mm-hmm.
Is there existing pavement? And if I apply this super heavy to it, would I expect it to fail? It's just another tool that actually came out of the state of Washington probably 30 years ago that's been, again, updated with new models. but the theory is the same as if I load it with these gear configurations or these tire configurations, what should I expect to see? How many times could I load it before it would fail, either in fatigue cracking, bottom up, or in subgrade rutting? So we've got 5 different tools for the user,
Okay.
depending on what you need to do. If it's just the basic new design, it's an overlay. That first iteration we did, we kept it simple, stupid. We just did new construction because the new designs are pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
The next layer of complexity was when we added overlay design. So if you're overlaying a flexible pavement, we built in, are you milling it? Did you core it to make sure you know where the cracks are going? But we built in some smart steps, but it follows just chapter 5 of the 93 guide. So that's AASHTO.
Okay.
The next iteration, we started bringing in porous pavement design. I know you've heard of all this stuff with resiliency, all this stuff with sustainability, how the pavement's going to perform under flooding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even before that, we were looking at it from a best management practice for pavements, for stormwater. And we said for lower volume roads, how would you design the thickness of the asphalt to go on top of your open reservoir to be able to thicken up to hold traffic and serve as a reservoir as a best management practice for stormwater? So we built that in. That was work done by Dr. Chuck Schwartz at the University of Maryland and Kevin Hall, which you all may know.
Yep.
They're in Arkansas, next state over.
Yep.
So that work was done. And then we moved on to the next iteration with per road and real cost and agency cost, LCCA and structural. So this tool, we didn't build it and sit and look at it. It's evolved over time, and we do surveys every couple of years to ask the users, what are you looking for? And when we see that there's enough synergy around a topic or two, then we go back to states like Texas with Texapa and Virginia and Napa members and say, are we willing to fund this enhancement,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing this is a need for the users and the customers and the clients of pavements. And if there's enough there, we'll pay for it and enhance it. We don't pass that along to the users. If we need to just maintain, we do that. So it's a dynamic process, evolves every year. We have the same conversations. And the last time I looked at the analytics through Google, by far, PAVEXpress is the most widely used tool in the world.
Wow.
You can pull up Google Analytics and you can show everywhere somebody has accessed it at least once. And just about every country in the world, somebody for some reason access PAVEXpress, and we can drill all the way down to the state, and you can see when there's spikes and everything. But it's widely used with tens of thousands of users over the years.
Well, hopefully there'll be a few spikes on the analytics for Texas after this program, and we'll be glad to say that. The thing that I wanted to show is up here in the corner, right up there. It says send feedback. That's right there on the front page. I love that, where you guys are always taking feedback, where you can drop in a note, drop in something that's going on. I think that's a great way of doing stuff, Trenton. So keep up the good work.
We need to hear from you.
Yep.
Because it's a group of us, and we don't do it in a vacuum, but it's the users that we need to hear back from to say, hey, it'd be great if it did this. You never even thought about that.
All right. So what's next?
What's next? We're going through the next round. We're actually looking at, and what's the exciting part, Jim, is as you and I know, through the Napa and the state associations, we work together on implementing research, and we're doing work right now that's looking at whether it's a different structural pavement that we might be doing, different materials, things that we learn. We take these research projects and say, how do we incorporate the outcomes into PAVEXpress? So right now there's a couple interesting projects that's in development and being considered. Depending on how those outcomes go, you may very well see them in the next version of PAVEXpress. But right now, the effort is finishing up PAVEInstruct, so the two marry up a lot closer.
Good.
So there's always something going on.
Never ends, does it?
Never
ends.
end.
Never ends.
Keeps it interesting.
Is there a way you could maybe show us a couple screens from maybe one of your examples?
Sure. Let me pull up. Let's see. Let me go back to my projects. Just pull one of them up that I've played with. So this is US 340 rehabilitation. It's a project out in the Shenandoah Valley, and it's just an AC overlay. So you can see I've named it.
That would be in far east Texas, just to let people know for
extremely far east.
Yeah.
Very close to the Atlantic coast for you all, though.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty far east Texas.
Yeah, pretty far. We have the name of it, which we can edit.
Okay.
I can go in here.
Change all your parameters. Okay.
So here's all my parameters. Here's my scenario, my description of what I'm trying to do. You say it's existing pavement has surface distresses and needs structural capacity improvement.
Okay.
When do I think? I just click the side of my clicker. Let me click that back again. When do I expect to have the work done? So it could be just one of our structural resurfacing projects.
Okay.
The classification roadway. What's important here, and it goes back to the simplicity of the program, is depending on the classification, it puts in defaults. So again, knowing that a lot of the users, this isn't what they do every day, as you'll see in these next couple tabs, we pre-populate fields. You can still override them. You can still put in something different. But if you need a starting spot, we give it to you, and then you can make adjustments.
I'm sure you're pretty conservative with these, just to keep people from going off the edge.
Yeah. So you can see here's a quick help.
Oh, okay.
You hover over that.
Nice.
That question mark.
Very
I can
nice.
go, and there's the state again.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it all linked together. I put in my existing pavement information, so I knew it was 8 inches of asphalt on 6 inches of an ag base.
Okay.
Few of the other information that we want to know, though, is what's my subgrade like?
Okay.
So my strength. When I look at the design of a pavement, the two things that really matter is strength of subgrade and traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to have a good handle. Do I use the R value, which is one approach you see mainly out west, the CBR value, or do you manually put in a value for the subgrade strength?
Mm-hmm.
So you have all sorts of ones. You can do a default soil type.
Okay.
That again gives you ranges, and this all comes out of a lot of work done for AASHTO and NCHRP.
Gotcha.
If I'm doing my new asphalt overlay, what structural coefficient do I want to use? 0.4? Am I going to be like Alabama that's going with 5.4?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is how
that's a
thin
good
will I
one.
pave it?
Yeah. Yep.
So minimum thickness. Well, we always pave it at least an inch thick. So we'll start our iterations in this design process at an inch.
Okay.
Go to my next slide. Now I'm putting in my design parameters. So
Okay.
if you remember on that first one, I said what type of classification I have.
Right.
That's where it comes in. It defaults my design period,
Okay.
my reliability.
Okay.
All these can change.
Okay.
These all tie back to the 93 guide. Standard error. Again, all things that are common with the 93 approach in chapter 5.
A lot of similarity here to FPS 21. Yep.
What's really cool that we added to this and the 93 guide chapter 5, there were 3 ways you could adjust the structural capacity of the existing pavement based on visual distresses, based on structural non-destructive testing with an FWD,
Mm-hmm.
which Texas 1, 2, or 25 at last count, I heard.
Mm-hmm.
And then traffic. Traffic always never really adjusted much. So we put out more of our effort toward using visual condition or FWD results. But as you can see in this one, if I use the FWD, and ModComp is what was used forever and a day there in Texas, and I imagine there's a newer version of ModComp that Tom Scullion and others developed there at TTI. But you go through and you say, what's my subgrade modulus and what's my structural number? So you can calculate them, or you can put them in from a third-party software.
Mm-hmm.
But then we said, what It's the actual condition of the pavement. So you can see where core is taken. This is, again, is to get people thinking, I need to core the cracks to see which direction the cracks are coming from. So did you core it? Yes or no? Were the cores over cracks? Yes or no? And if it's yes, was it a top down? Was it a bottom up? Or both? So which way was it going? If it's top down, then that leads us to say, all right, I really need to mill to get the cracking off.
Right.
But to the point you made a little while ago, if it goes all the way down, 1.5 inches is not going to fix it.
Nope.
Because 1.5 inches down is where that critical strains are at the bottom of the asphalt. Guess what? It cracks again and comes right up. So if you ever wondered why that pavement just cracked and you just paved it 2 years ago, if it was already cracked, it's just reflective cracking from underneath, because the asphalt's not this thick, it's that thick.
Right.
So we're trying to educate folks through this process. We ask you how deep the cracks went, if it's top down, and did you encounter any delamination or stripping?
Okay.
Because you want to get down below that layer so you have sound material.
Right.
And then we get to the very last one, which we talk about, are you milling, to what depth, put in a depth, and then the material you're getting rid of, you just assign as a structural coefficient, because that basically takes, I did FWD testing, I had 392. Once I take 4 inches off, it's no longer 392, it's 332.
Right.
That's my existing structural number. So when I do my overlay design, that delta is how thick the asphalt needs to be.
Gotcha.
We do the same over on the condition survey method. So we're looking again, at
that's
cores,
nice. Yeah, look at that.
how much alligator cracking, transverse cracking. Again, it's the same methodology.
Gotcha.
You can come down here and put in layer coefficients for that material. Again, this all ties back to the 93 guide. But all you're doing is trying to say how strong the existing pavement is. We get over now to the traffic and loading. You put in the completion year traffic. You can calculate it from ADT. You can do different ESL counts, load factors, whatever you may have. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to get is what's that total design ESLs. So in this instance, it's about 6.3 million over 15 years. And once I've done that, I'll click on it and it does my overlay design.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a step by step approach that you can address. And you say, well, I want to make an adjustment. Let me go back to my design parameters. Let's say structurally, I used NDT instead of 5,000. It was a lot better than that. Let's say it's 9,000.
Okay. So that just decreased the thickness when I get done.
I want to see what look there.
Wow.
So you went from 5,000 to 9,000. Look what it did to your overlay thickness. It goes back to the things that matter: subgrade strength and traffic levels.
There you go.
So the cool thing that PAVEXpress allows the user to do is play a lot of these what if scenarios. What if this? What if that? If I'm doing a new construction, if I stabilize, if I don't stabilize, if I do thicker aggregate, thicker asphalt, thinner, whatever it may be, you can really start to see and work through what are the impacts.
Yeah, to me, that's where the real learning comes with this is okay, let's change it by 10%. Let's change traffic by 10%. What if I'm off 10%? What if I'm off 20%? What's that going to do? How do I, if I want to be really conservative and I know growth is coming and Virginia's growing, Texas is growing, every place is growing. We know traffic isn't going to get any lighter. Let's play the what if. And I love how simple that was in your example to do that. I mean, it just click, 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 boom, we got another number. So yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
And you can print it out, make that engineering decision. And again, what we added to is when we took 93 AASHTO and then we added per road to it to do a mechanistic design. Now you can say, all right, well, here's my 93 AASHTO design. Let's see what the perpetual design does. And now you can say, oh, shoot, if I want a perpetual, I need to add 2.5 inches.
Right. But look what that gets. Look what that gets you, though.
Yeah, but the flip side, Jim, is if I'm on a very heavy traffic, maybe I need 17 inches of asphalt to meet with 93 AASHTO, but I run it through Per Road and it tells me 13. Think of that 4-inch savings on a 1 mile project.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money. So, and what we built into this latest version of Per Road is, before it was a trial and error.
Okay.
Now we have it iterating
to
get you to a design that meets the mechanistic criteria, that limiting strain. We got a distribution curve out of some more recent work from Auburn that says if I stay within this distribution curve of my loadings and my strains, then based on, not only evaluation by our eyes, but testing and instrumentation, these pavements don't fail from the bottom up. And that's what we're trying to get to. It goes back to what our associations are trying to do: promote quality.
Yep.
Do we want more asphalt? Absolutely. But we want quality asphalt.
Man, that's good. That's good stuff. That's good.
So that's
stuff.
what we're trying to achieve with PAVEXpress.
I like it. So it's at PAVEXpress.com, right? And that's our option, is to go ahead and get there and to give it a shot. Not everybody is using FPS in Texas. I know there's a lot of folks that are looking for ideas. Some people are, we've got some people, they're not even sure what they're using. They've got a book that they found and they're doing design. So this is a real simple way of doing it. It's very intuitive. It's very iterative. There's help along the way. And then there's the whole Pave Instruct side as well that goes in a little bit deeper. And you're getting, I know you're getting lectures from you who really know this stuff. You're getting lectures from Dave Tim, who's as smart as they come in this stuff. And you're really getting, kind of a master class course in this whole process, and then able to put out a solid program. Now, you've gone through, and I know others have gone through this before and have compared it line by line as far as output goes to AASHTO 93, and you're getting the original numbers, right?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Jim, that question arose: is how well does PAVEXpress and the 93 guide line up? So doing, what's right, hired a third party. Said several states had done it. Virginia had done it. Washington State had done it. But we paid a third party who used to be part of with another DOT. And he went through, and his team at his consultant firm went through and again confirmed that those outputs that we get with PAVEXpress and with the 93 guide, Darwin 3.1, they lined up. Because what we did not want to do is put out software that appeared biased.
Right.
We wanted to replicate. Right. So that's what we've done. We've done the same with Per Road. When we brought it over, we had Dave Tim and his team there at Auburn verify those results, because again, it was his work. We were just building it into an easy to use tool. But if there's others out there that want to know more about it or have questions, Jim has my contact information. I'm on, like it or not, you can Google me and find me. Just make sure it's the right me. But Napa also has lots of webinars, free webinars on their website, as well as the Asphalt Pavement Alliance, that you can sit and watch a lot of these topics being discussed by the experts that really design them, put them together. And so you can get, again, even more information if, curiosity on how exactly did this work. Well, sure. I'm pretty confident we've got a webinar on that. Everybody has a webinar on something.
I tell you, we're on one right now. Absolutely. Hey, it works. Used to have to go sign up for a conference and drive and stay and all that sort of stuff and listen to it. And now you can just go online and go to YouTube or go to somebody's location and they've got it all right there. So this has been great. Hey, Trenton, big thanks. I know you have done a lot of work on this program and have done a lot of work on behalf of the whole industry. And coming from somebody who knows, thank you. Thank you. We
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
I appreciate it.
And we're really glad to have you here today, and so glad to have you part of it, and so glad to have part of Texas up there working in Virginia right now, out in your field.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll have to send me a couple steaks when you next year in a couple years when things sort themselves out.
I'll put you on the list of everybody else's. I want one of your Wagyu steaks.
There we go. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, Trenton, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Jim.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, ladies and
See y'all
gentlemen, big thanks. Let me get over here. We got back. Oh, what happened? There we go. Sorry about that. Big thanks, everybody, joining us here on TechSapple Live today. Obviously, some really good resources out there, some really good tools for all of us to use. Take a look at it. PAVEXpress.com, PaveInstruct.com. Take a look at it, download it, give it a shot, see if it helps you, and I'm sure it will, and may answer some questions. It may just answer some of those questions just like, well, what does that number mean? How do I deal with that number? And I'm sure with some of the lectures that Trenton and Dave and others around there have that, and even just the drop-down menus they've got, it'll be able to answer those questions. And in doing so, we're raising the bar. We're raising the bar for everybody, and we're putting out better designs, and we've got better materials now. We're going to go ahead and get this all done. So big thanks to everybody. Thank you so much for TechSapple Live, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.